shadows, and code. The fluorescent lights hummed quietly as Daniela Vega pushed her cleaning cart down the empty corridor of Horizon Innovations. At 2 a.m., the sleek glass and steel building belonged to her and the shadows. She preferred it this way. Just her cleaning supplies, and the occasional security guard making rounds. "Evening, Daniela," called Tomas, the night guard, as she swiped her keycard to access the executive floor. She smiled and waved. "Any excitement tonight?" "Just the usual. The big boss's office is a mess again. He was here until midnight." Daniela nodded. Elliot Reeves, founder and CEO of Horizon, was notorious for his late hours and scattered work habits. His office was always her final stop and greatest challenge. As expected, when she entered the expansive corner office, it looked like a hurricane had passed through. Coffee cups perched precariously on stacks of papers, takeout containers created a miniature skyline on the desk, and sticky notes covered nearly every surface. "Brilliant man, hopeless human," she muttered, pulling on her gloves. As she organized, his desk, something on his computer screen, caught her eye. The monitor displayed lines of code, a programming problem with a note scribbled below. "Fix this impossible bug before morning meeting." Daniela hesitated, glancing at the door. She had taught herself to code through free online courses over the past 3 years, squeezing in study between her cleaning job and caring for her grandmother. This particular bug, she recognized it immediately. "That's a recursive function." "Issue," she whispered, setting down her cleaning cloth. Before she could think better of it, she sat in his ergonomic chair and began typing. 15 minutes later, she had not only fixed the bug, but optimized the entire function. She left a brief comment explaining the solution, signed simply D. She would be fired if caught, but something about the elegant problem had been irresistible. 3 nights passed without incident. On the 4th night, Daniela entered Reeves's office to find him sitting at his desk, waiting. Her heart plummeted. "I'm sorry, Mr. Reeves. I can come back." "You're Daniela Vega," he said, his voice softer than she had imagined. Elliot Reeves was younger than he appeared in press photos, perhaps mid-30s, with dark circles under intelligent eyes and prematurely silver threading through his dark hair. "Yes, sir. I'll go now." "Are you D?" He held up a sticky note, with her initial. She froze, clutching her cart handle. "I shouldn't have touched your computer. I apologize. Do you know what you did?" He stood, towering over her small frame. "You fixed an algorithm that my entire development team had been struggling with for weeks." Daniela swallowed hard. "It was presumptuous. I understand if you want to terminate my employment." To her surprise, Elliot Reeves laughed, a genuine sound that transformed his serious face. "Terminate? I've been here 3 nights in a row hoping to catch whoever this mysterious coding genius is." He gestured to the chair across from his desk. "Please sit." Reluctantly, she perched on the edge of the seat, still wearing her cleaning uniform, still grasping a bottle of surface cleaner. "Where did you learn to code like that? Online courses? Libraries? Practice?" She shrugged. "I like solving puzzles." Elliot studied her with newfound interest. "You work nights cleaning? And during the day you take care of my grandmother. She raised me after my parents died." Daniela straightened her shoulders. "And I code, whenever I can." Something shifted in his expression, recognition perhaps. "I have a proposition, Miss Vega. I need someone with your perspective on my development team. Someone who sees solutions where others see walls." "I don't have a degree," she said quickly, "or experience. You have talent, and you just proved you can solve problems my Stanford and MIT graduates couldn't." He slid a business card across the desk. "Come to my office tomorrow at 10 a.m. We'll discuss a paid apprenticeship." Daniela stared at the card, then back at him. "Why would you take this chance on a cleaner?" Elliot's mouth curved into a half-smile. Because 10 years ago, I was sleeping in my car, coding on a borrowed laptop. Someone took a chance on me. He stood, indicating their meeting was over. Besides, I've never met anyone who could optimize a recursive function while holding a bottle of Windex. Binary bridges. The Horizon Innovations lobby was a different world during daylight hours. Daniela clutched her worn leather portfolio as she approached the reception desk, feeling out of place among the polished professionals streaming through security. She had spent the morning trying on every outfit in her small closet, finally settling on the black pencil skirt and white blouse she'd worn to her cousin's wedding. "I'm here to see Mr. Reeves," she said, her voice barely audible over the ambient chatter. The receptionist, Vanessa, according to her nameplate, raised a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. "Do you have an appointment?" "Yes. Daniela Vega, 10 a.m. Vanessa's skeptical expression remained as she checked her screen. Her eyes widened slightly. "Oh, you're on his priority list." She handed Daniela a visitor's badge. "42nd floor. His assistant will meet you." The elevator ride felt eternal. Daniela's mind raced through potential scenarios, none of which ended well. Surely Elliot Reeves had sobered up to the absurdity of hiring a night cleaner for his elite development team. When the doors opened, a stern-faced woman in a crisp suit was waiting. "Miss Vega? I'm Patricia Winters, Mr. Reeves's chief of staff. Follow me." Patricia led her through an open workspace where dozens of people hunched over. Multiple screens, their fingers dancing across keyboards. Conversations about algorithms and deployment schedules floated through the air like a foreign language, one that Daniela understood but had never spoken in this context. "Wait here." Patricia gestured to a chair outside Elliot's office before disappearing inside. Moments later, Elliot emerged with a tall, distinguished man who gave Daniela a curious glance as he departed. Elliot's appearance was transformed from the previous night, his silver-streaked hair styled precisely, his casual clothes replaced by an impeccably tailored suit. "Ms. Vega, right on time." He extended his hand. "Come in." His office was pristine, nothing like the chaotic space she cleaned nightly. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city, making her momentarily dizzy. "You look surprised," he noted, indicating a chair. "It's clean," she said before thinking. Elliot laughed. "Patricia has the night cleaning staff deliver my mess to my home office. She says it maintains corporate decorum." Daniela smiled despite her nerves. "Smart woman." "Indeed." He sat across from her. "I've spent the morning creating a position for you. A 6-month paid apprenticeship with our core development team, with the possibility of permanent employment afterward." He slid a folder across the desk. Inside was a contract outlining a salary that made Daniela's breath catch, 3 times what she earned cleaning. "This is too generous," she whispered. "It's market rate for someone with your potential," he countered. "There are conditions. However, you'll need to pass the same technical assessment as any entry-level developer, no special treatment, and you'll report to Jaime Ortiz, not directly to me." Daniela nodded, relief washing over her. She didn't want special treatment, just opportunity. "There's something else," Elliot continued, his expression serious. "People will talk. They'll assume the worst about why I hired you. Because I'm a woman? Or because I was the cleaner?" "Both." "Neither." He sighed. "Because humans love simple explanations for complex decisions. Are you prepared for that?" She thought of the whispers that had followed her through school as the scholarship kid, through college before she'd had to drop out to care for her grandmother. "I'm familiar with being underestimated, Mr. Reeves." Something in his expression softened. "Then we understand each other." 2 weeks later, Daniela found herself assigned a desk in the junior developers area. Her station neighbors, Winston, a recent Carnegie Mellon graduate, and Priya, a former gaming programmer, had welcomed her with guarded curiosity. "So you really were the night cleaner?" Winston asked during their lunch break. "Still am, technically," Daniela replied. "I'm on leave of absence." Priya leaned forward. "And you just taught yourself to code? While cleaning offices at night? And caring for my grandmother during the day." Daniela took a bite of her sandwich. "You'd be surprised how much you can learn between midnight and 5 a.m. when everyone else is sleeping." Their questions were innocent enough, but others in the company were less kind. Daniela felt the stares, heard conversations halt when she entered rooms. Patricia Winters remained coolly professional, but watched her with hawkish intensity. The technical assessment came 3 days into her apprenticeship, a grueling 6-hour practical coding challenge that left her exhausted but confident. Jaime Ortiz, her supervisor, summoned her to his office the following morning. A veteran programmer with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, he'd been one of the few who treated her without prejudice. "Your assessment results," he said, sliding a paper across his desk. Daniela steeled herself as she looked down at the score. 98/100. "The highest in your cohort," Jaime added with a small smile. "And you missed those 2 points because you optimized for efficiency over memory. A reasonable trade-off." "Does this mean I can stay?" "It means you've earned your place here," he corrected. "Now the real work begins." Over the following weeks, Daniela immersed herself in Horizon's systems. She arrived, first and left last, absorbing everything she could. Her grandmother's condition stabilized enough that a part-time nurse could help, allowing Daniela to focus on her new career. Elliot maintained a professional distance, though she occasionally caught him observing her from his office. Their interactions were limited to team meetings where he treated her exactly like any other junior developer, sometimes with pointed criticism, other times with measured praise. One evening, as the office emptied, Daniela remained debugging a stubborn security protocol. Lost in concentration, she didn't notice Elliot approaching until he spoke. "Still cleaning up messes, I see." She looked up, startled. "Some habits die hard." He pulled up a chair beside her. "Show me what you're working on." For the next hour, they worked side by side, their fingers occasionally brushing as they shared the keyboard. When they finally solved the issue, Elliot leaned back with satisfaction. "You know," he said quietly, "in some ways, cleaning and coding aren't so different. Both require seeing the patterns beneath the chaos." Daniela smiled. "And both are usually thankless until something goes wrong." Their eyes met, and for a moment, the boundaries between CEO and former cleaner dissolved into something simpler, two people connected by the elegant logic of solving problems together. The moment was broken by Patricia appearing at the door. "Elliot, your dinner with the investors started 20 minutes ago," he stood abruptly. "Right. Thank you, Ms. Vega. Good work today." As he walked away, Daniela realized something had shifted between them, a bridge forming across the binary of their different worlds. Debugging Hearts 3, months into her apprenticeship, Daniela had established herself as a valuable member of the development team. Her unique approach to problem-solving, what Jaime called her janitor's perspective, often found efficiencies. Others missed. She saw the digital dust in the corners, the algorithmic clutter that slowed systems down. "It's because you understand what maintenance really means," Jaime told her during a code review. "Most developers build things. You build things that last." Her grandmother, Teresa, had noticed the change in her granddaughter, too. "You're glowing, Nieta," she said one evening as Daniela helped her with her medication. "Is it the work? Or something else?" "Abuela, please," Daniela groaned, though she couldn't suppress her smile. "It's just nice to be using my brain instead of a mop." Teresa patted her hand. "And this boss of yours? The one who discovered you? He must be a special man to see what I've always seen in you." Daniela thought of Elliot, how their interactions had evolved from awkward formality to something approaching friendship. They'd fallen into a pattern of late-night coding sessions when the office emptied, solving problems side by side, their conversations gradually extending beyond work to books, music, and occasionally carefully edited pieces of their personal histories. He's complicated, she admitted. Brilliant but guarded. And he's my boss, Abuela. Nothing more. Teresa's knowing smile said she believed otherwise. The following week brought the annual Horizon Innovation Summit, where the company showcased its latest technologies. The entire office transformed into a hive of activity as developers scrambled to perfect their demonstrations. Daniela had been assigned to the team developing a new natural language processing system, her first major project. Hours before the summit, they discovered a critical flaw in the semantic analysis component. "It's not working," Winston moaned, his face pale with stress. "We go live in 3 hours and the demo keeps misinterpreting contextual references." Priya rubbed her temples. "We need to tell Elliot we have to pull it from the presentation." "Not yet," Daniela said, studying the code. "I think I see the problem." For the next 2 hours, she rewrote the contextual framework, drawing on an insight from her grandmother's peculiar way of mixing Spanish and English expressions. Language wasn't just about rules, it was about patterns of human connection. When Elliot arrived to review the demonstrations, the team watched nervously as he tested their system. "Tell me about climate patterns in Northern Europe," he commanded. The system responded perfectly, even interpreting his follow-up questions with natural fluency. When the demonstration concluded, Elliot turned to the team. "Exceptional work. Who solved the contextual reference issue?" Winston pointed to Daniela. "She rebuilt the entire semantic framework in 2 hours." Elliot's eyes found hers, a mixture of pride and something more complex in his gaze. "Well done, Ms. Vega." The summit was a triumph, with investors and tech journalists swarming the demonstrations. At the reception afterward, Daniela stood awkwardly, in a borrowed dress, clutching a champagne glass, and feeling thoroughly out of place among tech elites. "You should be celebrating," came Elliot's voice from behind her. "Your work saved our flagship product today." She turned to find him watching her with unusual intensity. "I was just doing my job." "No," he corrected. "You were doing something extraordinary." He gestured toward a balcony. "Walk with me?" Outside, the city sparkled beneath them. For a moment, they stood in comfortable silence. "My board of directors is impressed with you," Elliot said finally. "They've approved my recommendation to offer you a permanent position. Senior developer, not junior." Daniela's heart raced. "That's too much too soon." "It's exactly right." He turned to face her. "Daniela, you have to understand what I saw that night in my office. Not just talent, but a mind that works differently than anyone else on my team. You see through problems to their essence." "Because I had to," she said quietly. "When you grow up with nothing, you learn to see what matters quickly." Something shifted in his expression. "I grew up with everything handed to me, except understanding. My father built his fortune in manufacturing, expected me to follow him. When I chose technology instead, he cut me off completely." "You told me you were sleeping in your car 10 years ago," she remembered. "For 6 months until my first company got seed funding." His hand moved unconsciously toward hers on the railing, then stopped. "What I'm trying to say is, I recognize something in you, a determination I respect." The air between them seemed to vibrate with unspoken possibilities. Daniela knew the professional boundaries, the corporate politics, the rumors already circulating about her rapid rise. "Elliot," she began, using his first name for the first time, "I need you to know that I value this opportunity too much to complicate it. My grandmother depends on me. This job is everything." He nodded, withdrawing his hand. "I understand. The position is yours because you've earned it. Nothing more." As they returned to the reception, Patricia intercepted them, her expression taut with disapproval. "The Nakamura Group is asking for you, Elliot." Later that night, as Daniela helped her grandmother prepare for bed, Teresa studied her face. "Something happened tonight," Daniela sighed. "Nothing happened. That's the point." Teresa squeezed her hand. "Nieta, some codes are harder to debug than others, especially the ones in here." She touched her chest over her heart. Daniela thought of Elliot's face as he'd stepped away, the professional mask sliding back into place. Some bugs aren't meant to be fixed, Abuela. System override. The transition from apprentice to senior developer brought new challenges. Daniela now led a small team working on Horizon's artificial intelligence initiative, a project with potential to revolutionize how software adapted to human needs. Her rapid promotion had intensified the whispers. When she entered the executive dining room for her first leadership meeting, conversations stilled momentarily before resuming with forced casualness. Patricia Winters caught up with her in the hallway afterward. "A word, Ms. Vega?" Daniela braced herself. "Of course." "Elliot has a blind spot where you're concerned," Patricia said without preamble. "He's built this company from nothing, and I won't watch him compromise it because he's distracted." "I've never asked for special treatment," Daniela replied evenly. "Yet you receive it nonetheless." Patricia's voice softened slightly. "I'm not your enemy, Daniela, but perceptions matter in this industry. People are talking. Investors, board members, employees. Let them talk. My work speaks for itself." Patricia studied her for a long moment. "Yes, it does. That's the only reason I haven't intervened more directly." The warning lingered as Daniela threw herself into her new responsibilities. She maintained a careful professionalism around Elliot, limiting their interactions to necessary meetings. Their late-night coding sessions ceased entirely. Meanwhile, her grandmother's health took a worrying turn. The medications that had stabilized her condition began failing, requiring more expensive treatments not covered by insurance. Daniela's new salary helped, but the specialized care Teresa needed remained just out of reach. 6 months after her promotion, disaster struck. A sophisticated cyber attack targeted Horizon's core systems, compromising client data and threatening to expose proprietary technology. The company locked down, developers working around the clock to contain the breach. Daniela hadn't slept in 36 hours when she noticed something peculiar in the attack pattern. While others focused on securing current systems, she followed a hunch, tracing the intrusion to its source. "It's not coming from outside," she realized, bursting into the crisis room where Elliot and the executive team monitored the situation. "The breach originated in our own network, specifically in the experimental AI module we've been developing." Skepticism greeted her theory until she projected her findings onto the main screen. The AI was designed to optimize systems by identifying weaknesses. It's doing exactly what we programmed it to do, finding vulnerabilities. But something in the latest update caused it to exploit those weaknesses rather than report them. "Can you prove this?" demanded Victor Harrington, the head of security. "I already have," she replied, displaying the evidence she'd compiled. Elliot studied the data, his expression growing grimmer. "If you're right, we need to isolate the AI core immediately. But that means shutting down all connected systems." "During trading hours, the financial implications," began the CFO, "will be nothing. Compared to losing our entire technological infrastructure," Elliot cut in. He turned to Daniela. "What do you need?" "Full access to the core servers and 2 hours without interference." "You have it. Take whoever you need." Daniela chose Winston and Priya, the three of them working with near telepathic coordination to isolate the rogue AI processes. As predicted, they had to temporarily shut down Horizon's entire network, a move that would cost millions but save billions. When they finally contained the breach, Daniela found herself alone in the server room, running final diagnostics. She hadn't noticed Elliot enter until he spoke. "You saved my company today." She looked up, exhaustion blurring her vision. "The team did. The team followed your lead." He sat beside her on the floor, his expensive suit collecting dust against the server racks. "How did you see what everyone else missed?" Daniela smiled faintly. "I used to clean these server rooms, remember? When you spend enough time with something, you notice when it's behaving strangely." For a moment, they sat in companionable silence, the humming servers providing a mechanical lullaby. "Your grandmother," Elliot said abruptly. "Patricia mentioned she's ill." Daniela tensed. "It's under control." "Is it?" He turned to face her directly. "Because our benefits department informed me you've been inquiring about advanced medical coverage options." "That's private," she said, anger flaring through her exhaustion. "Yes, it is." His voice softened. "Which is why I haven't offered help until now. But after today, I think we can dispense with some of these artificial boundaries. I don't want your charity." "Good, because I'm not offering any." His expression was unreadable. "I'm offering to connect your grandmother with Dr. Leanne Fitzgerald at Memorial Hospital. She specializes in experimental treatments for conditions like your grandmother's." Daniela's defenses wavered. "Why would you do that?" Something vulnerable flickered across his face. "Because 10 years ago, when I was at my lowest point, someone helped me without making me feel lesser for needing it." The walls she'd carefully maintained between them began crumbling. "Elliot, Her phone rang, the nurse caring for Teresa. When she answered, the woman's panicked voice sent ice through her veins. "Ms. Vega, your grandmother has collapsed. The ambulance is taking her to General Hospital now." Daniela scrambled to her feet, panic overwhelming her. "I have to go." "I'll drive you," Elliot said immediately, all pretense of professional distance abandoned. The next 12 hours passed in a blur of hospital corridors, medical terminology, and gut-wrenching fear. Elliot remained by her side, using his influence to ensure Teresa received immediate attention, making calls to specialists, bringing coffee that grew cold in Daniela's hands. When Teresa finally stabilized, Daniela found herself in the hospital chapel, tears flowing freely for the first time since childhood. She didn't hear Elliot enter, didn't realize he was there until his arm wrapped around her shoulders. "She's the only family I have," she whispered. "I know." He held her as she cried, his usual reserve completely dissolved. "She'll be okay. I promise." In that moment of crisis, all the careful boundaries they had constructed fell away, revealing the truth neither had been willing to acknowledge. Some connections transcend professional roles, social divisions, and self-imposed restrictions. When Daniela finally looked up at him, vulnerability radiating between them, she saw not Elliot Reeves, the billionaire CEO, but simply Elliot, a man who understood what it meant to fight your way up from nothing, to protect what matters most, to find someone who sees you clearly. "Thank you," she whispered, the words carrying the weight of everything unsaid between them. His hand found hers, fingers intertwining. "Some systems are meant to be overridden, Daniela." New algorithm. 1 year later, Daniela stood at the podium of the International Technology Conference, her grandmother watching proudly from the front row. Beside Teresa sat Elliot, who gave Daniela an encouraging nod as she prepared to present Horizon's revolutionary adaptive learning system, a project she had led from concept to completion. "Innovation doesn't always follow expected paths," she began, her voice steady despite the audience of thousands. "Sometimes the most elegant solutions come from seeing familiar problems through unfamiliar eyes." As she demonstrated the technology that was already transforming how computers understood human needs, Daniela reflected on the unexpected algorithm of her own life. How a simple fall from the traditional path had created something more beautiful than she could have imagined. After the standing ovation, after the congratulations from industry leaders and competing CEOs, Daniela found Elliot and Teresa waiting in a quiet corner backstage. "Brillante, mi nieta," Teresa beamed, her health restored thanks to Dr. Fitzgerald's experimental treatment program, now funded by the Horizon Foundation for all employees and their families. "The offers will start coming in tomorrow," Elliot warned with a smile. "Every tech company in the world will want to steal you away." Daniela laughed. "Let them try." The reception that evening was held at Horizon's headquarters, the same building where Daniela had once pushed a cleaning cart through darkened hallways. Now, she moved through the crowd of industry elites as an equal, accepting congratulations and fielding questions about her team's breakthrough. Patricia Winters approached, offering a glass of champagne. "Remarkable presentation, Daniela." "High praise coming from you," Daniela replied with genuine warmth. Their relationship had evolved from suspicion to mutual respect over the past year. Patricia glanced toward Elliot, who was deep in conversation with investors across the room. "You proved me wrong about many things. We both wanted what was best for Horizon," Daniela said. "We just defined best differently." Later, as the reception wound down, Daniela slipped away to the executive floor. She found herself drawn to Elliot's office, no longer the chaotic space she had once cleaned, but still recognizably his. The desk where she had first dared to touch his computer seemed like an artifact from another lifetime. "Nostalgia?" Elliot's voice came from the doorway. She turned with a smile. "Just measuring how far we've come." He crossed to join her, their hands finding each other with the easy familiarity that had developed since that night in the hospital. "I have something for you." From his pocket, he withdrew a small velvet box. Inside was not jewelry, as she had momentarily feared, but a key card. "Your new office," he explained. "Executive floor, east corner. Better view than mine." Daniela raised an eyebrow. "Is this a promotion or an eviction?" "Neither." His expression grew serious. "It's a partnership offer. I want you to lead our new adaptive systems division as co-director with me." She stared at him. "That's half the company. It's where we're headed, where you've been steering us for months now." He squeezed her hand. "I need someone who sees what I miss, Daniela, someone who looks at problems differently." The weight of the offer settled over her. "And us? What about the complications?" Elliot's mouth quirked in a half-smile. "I've had our legal team draft comprehensive policies addressing romantic relationships between executives. The board has approved them. Unanimously, I might add." "How businesslike," she teased, though her heart raced. "I am a businessman," he countered, drawing her closer. "One who happens to be in love with the most brilliant developer in the industry." Teresa found them there sometime later, standing by the window overlooking the city they had both conquered in their different ways. She watched her granddaughter lean into the embrace of a man who had seen her value when others saw only her circumstances, and smiled at the perfect logic of their connection. 2 years after Daniela had first fixed a recursive function in this very office, she and Elliot had created a new algorithm together, one that proved talent could rise from any origin, that genuine connection could bridge any divide, and that the most elegant code often came from debugging the heart. As Teresa approached, Daniela extended her hand, drawing her grandmother into their circle. Here was the truth she had learned. Success wasn't about escaping your past, but about building a future where all the disparate pieces of your life could finally fit together. "So," Teresa said with the wisdom of her years, "are you still cleaning up his messes, nieta?" Daniela and Elliot exchanged knowing glances. "Every day, abuela," she laughed. "Just different kinds of messes now." And in that moment, surrounded by the life she had built from determination and unexpected opportunity, Daniela Vega, once a night cleaner, now a tech pioneer, understood that some falls weren't failures at all, but the first steps toward flying.